Welcome to the part 2 of the video. The bodies was achieved. I believe we've known how to do the bodies perfectly now in the first video. So this one will be cutting the down parts. We'll be learning how to calculate the yardage here in this video, and then we'll also be learning the ways, the techniques at which we can use. So in my hand is crinoline. It's 3 inches crinoline. Then this is also 2 inches crinoline. We also have an inch crinoline. It's currently not available in this video. I'll be sending a picture to show us how 1 inch of crinoline is. So while getting crinoline in the market, don't let it be too soft. Don't let it be too soft. When it is extremely soft, then it's not give you a nice outcome. So this is what we want to work with. Will be the measurements. This is the measurements that we would work with. Though that part where the back is 5 is actually 4. So here's what we are going to do. As a beginner, when you want to get the length of flare, all you have to do is to subtract the half length from the gown length. So in the gown length is 22. You just have to subtract the half length, which is 7, out of the gown length. So once you subtract 7 from 22, we should be having 15 inches. So 15 inches is going to be the length of the flare that we will be needing. The length of flare that we'll be needing. So now let's learn how to know how to calculate the fullness. Now this is what to do. Once you want to calculate fullness of a style, like when you look at the style and you're seeing how full it is, we have a minimalist flare, and then we have the one that is very, very full. Here's what you do. You calculate the client's waist. You calculate the client's waist by 10. Calculate the client's waist by 10. So this is me. I was trying to calculate the yardage of net that is here with me. You calculate the client's waist by 10. Now for this style, I used the client's waist of 20, calculated it by 10. It gave us 200. 200 divided by 1 yard, that is 36 inches. The result was 5.5. So that is what I was cross-checking in this measurement. 5.5 yards of net is what is going to work for a ball dress that you want to be full. Then if you now want it extremely full, we are going to calculate the waist by 15. The waist by 15. I was actually writing down the measurements so that we're going to know exactly what we want. So this is the flare aspect now, how we can calculate the flare. So for the flare, during this calculation I used 19 actually. 19 divided by 1.75. That is the calculation to use for flare, 90 degree flare. I love using 90 degree flare. Because the cloth is going to be in layers. 90 degree flare, then I'll arrange it in layers. So we have when you divide 19.1.57, I think it gave us 12.10 or thereabouts. Then we also calculated the length of the flare. Remember, we removed the half length from the flare length, which happens to be 15. So after calculating it, I think we were left with 26.6, because I now removed 1 inch from the length of the flare. I removed 1 inch from the length of the flare. So now please pay attention to the video. You see me where my hand is. That's how you'll be folding it. Apex parts, you'll be folding it this way because this is 90 degree. If you're familiar with folding of flares, you know that you can also fold it into 2 before you get that triangular method. But for this part, just once, you see this apex which my hand is touching, you fold it that way, then you arrange. Can you see? I believe it's very, very obvious. You arrange. Now from this folding, you will then get the 12.10 that we need, and we'll also get the length of the flare from it. You I'll be placing it now on the table with this exact method. I'll be placing it now on the table and then get it out. So 1.57 is the calculation to use. 1.57 because I want to do a 90-degree flare for it. Just divide the waist by 1.57 and we are good to go. You will get the needed circumference that is going to fit in for the waist. Then the length of the flare you're going to use, you add to it. You add them together. That is going to be what you will bring out for the flare. Whatever measurements, whatever it is you want to work with, this is a method that I normally use. But I ended up marking 13. So that I can get my zipper allowance. Remember, we did not add zipper allowance into this calculation of 12.10. So I ended up adding extra 1, that is 13, so that we can get our zipper allowance from it. So now I'm done chalking it out and see what we have. We have 11, that is 22, which is going to fit in properly. 22. Now the next is for me to get the length of the flare that is needed. Please, let's take note of the calculation again. You can calculate your waist by 10. Your waist by 10. Minimalist. It's when I mean minimalist, I'm not saying the cloth will be full. The cloth is going to come out full. But we have some styles we see online, on TikTok, on Instagram, that it is very, very full. There you use 15. Very, very full. It's usually very, very full. Use 15. But for this one, by 10. So whatever you get, you would divide it by 36 inches. So that will determine how many yards you would use. And then the layers. And then the layers that you'll be doing. So that means if you calculate and then you get 5 yards, sometimes it might not be 5. That doesn't mean you use 5 yards of net. You might happen to use 10 yards of net, because when you want to arrange it in layers, like I've done, placing it on this table, we'll see what we mean by arranging in layers. When you want to arrange in layers, you will see whether the 5 yards that we calculated will be enough, or we're going to buy times 2, because cloth will be on layers. When it's on layers, it gives you a fuller effect. Now I want to show us what I mean by in layers. Now I'll first be marking 1 inch from the waistline. I love marking 1 inch, so that I will gather my net to the 1 inch. I will gather my net to the waist region. I will gather my net to whatever desired parts that the layers that I'll be dividing it to. But because this cloth is crinoline, and crinoline automatically gives that poppy effect, mostly as it's 3 yards, I wouldn't bother to do so many layers for this cloth. It's just going to have 3 layers. That is the one that will be gathered on the waist, the one that will be gathered 1 inch after, and then the last one that is going to be 2 inches after. Now, if it wasn't crinoline, I love to use like 5 or 6 layers of net, because when there are much layers, it will give us a very, very fuller effect too. So I gave 3 inches gap for this one. I gave 3 inches gap for this. So I'm marking it 3 inches gap from this chalk line you are seeing. That is, if it is from the waist, it is 4 inches gap. So when you hear the word layers, this is what to do. Layers. Then when you hear the word steps, like the crinoline itself, that style which we'll be working with, that can guide us on every other outfit. Steps is the one that is visible. It is visible 1, 2, 3, but this one is not visible. It's arranged so that the cloth will be enough. So now, after we've gotten that, to calculate exactly what we want, this is 10 inches. So we'll be folding our veil net into this. After marking these layers, we'll be folding our veil net into what we have here. So I have 10 inches, I have 13 inches, and then I have 14 inches. I think that is what we'll be folding our veil net to, rather. The 5 yards that is said to have the calculated. Remember, the 5 yards I said to have calculated. So this is the point where I said we will then keep checking. If you calculate 5 yards, if it is really 5 yards that will work, or if you would need more than 5 yards, that is double 10 yards. So I also want to trim out more from here. Remember I said I trimmed out 1 inch before. I want to trim out another 1 inch so that there will be much gap from the net. So that there will be much needed gap from the net. So I've trimmed it off, and then the flare is ready. So the next is for us to get the veil net. Mind you, you do not need, from the calculations we made, it shows that you do not need to cut your veil net in flare. What you just have to do is make it gathers. So that is what we'll be doing. Pay attention to how this is going to be folded. Everything that you want to use, all the yards that you'll be using, you fold them together. Can you see? You need to do it patiently. So we fold together. Can you see? So I think we marked down 10 inches, we marked down 14 inches, and then we marked down 13 inches. So I'll be cutting it out. I'll be trimming out the edges, then we'll be chalking it. So this is me trying to chalk out the inches that I need. Trying to chalk out the inches that I need. So this is the first one, 10 inches. Check the next one, 13 inches. So these are the 2 layers that I'll be gathering on my flare. Then the 3rd layer that I'll be gathering, that's the one that will be on the main waistline. My crinoline will be on top. Well, I'm just going to cut it out. Then we'll go to the table and then see how we're going to arrange it. We'll go to the machine rather, so we can see how to arrange it on the outfit. This is the leftover here is going to be for our crinoline. The leftover here will be for our crinoline. So I'm just trying to cross check and gauge how it's going to look like, depending on the distance that I want my crinoline spacing to be. So that was what I was marking out then, but we'll continue the marking along the line. Now let's show us how to make how to achieve this. You see that 10 inches that we then cut out, this is where it is going to be. Can you see? That's the 10 inches, the least. This is where it's going to be, then followed by the next one is going to be in an inch after the waistline. You see how it will be. Then this third one, this third layer, remember this third one is the outer one that the crinoline is going to be. Third one is the one that the crinoline is going to be. You can still make it more layers, but since there's a crinoline, that's why I did not make it more layers, because the crinoline is still going to be in 3 different parts of the outfit. 3 different parts rather, that is the 3 steps. And then in the next video we're going to see how many layers that was used and the outcome of when we do more layers. So to start with, I love notching the center. This is because when you want to gather your veil net, that is your tool, it's always wise for you to mark the center. No matter the yardage involved, it's always wise to mark the center, because there are some ball dresses that along the line, if you do not mark the center, one part might look fuller, the other part would not be full, or when you put zip, it might tilt to another part too. It might be tilting towards one side, that is, the back is not going to be balanced. It's usually because you did not notch, so that you can arrange, you can understand and arrange how your net is going to be. So I also went ahead to tape it down. As you can see. You can also weave if you have a weaving machine and your weaving machine is workable at that point in time. You can weave. So after notching the center of my flare, I'm also going to notch the center of my net. Then I'll go ahead to pin them together. As you can see from the video, we'll be pinning them together. So after notching it out, I'm just going to pin it to the fabric. I'll be pinning it to the fabric, that is the doll face. Then we go ahead to gather. So I've pinned it to secure my middle. Then I'll go ahead to gather. So that you will not get confused along the line. You don't gather from the first step, you start from the last. You start from the last part of your layers, because that way you will not get confused. A layer of net will not be disturbing you while sewing. So you just have to use your hand to gather, and your machine, you'll be gathering directly on the doll face. You'll be gathering directly on the doll face. As you can see, you'll be maintaining that lines are marked. You'll be maintaining it. You'll be gathering directly on your doll face. Now if you have a zipper foot and you can gather down before placing it on your fabric, you can do that. So you'll be using your hand. Like I said, if you have a gathering foot, you can gather it first, and if not, you can keep watching how to do it. As you are gathering, you'll be cross-checking your what you have left, if the gathers will be enough, or if you're going to be careful on how to do it. The gathers will definitely be enough. You'll be careful on how to gather it, rather, if you should gather it too full, or you should maintain this you should maintain it this way. So this is how you'll be gathering it all through. You repeat this process for all the layers that you want. You always be cross-checking. You repeat the process for all layers that you want. So it's obvious that I'm already done from this part, this first layer. So I'll be repeating the same process for the next layer. You notch the center, you pin the center to the center. It will give you a more even effect. Pin the center to the center, then you go ahead to gather. So I've pinned it the center to the center. Like I said earlier, doing it to help us to get an accurate result, and it's to help us avoid one part to tilting towards the second part. So I'll follow my markings as well, and then I'll gather it the same way I gathered the first layer. I'll be gathering it like that. As you can see, it's my hand. I'll be gathering it. So I'm going to complete this process, this same thing for every other part. So I've done arranging the two nets on each layers. So this is how it looks like now. This is how it looks like. So the next, can you see the spacing? So if you still want it, let's say you just want it to be more clustered than this, you can see that place I opened, you can add more to it. So the next is for the last layer now, the last layer, but it will have crinoline. I just want to arrange it for us to see how it will be. The last layer on the waist itself, then so this one is going to have crinoline. This last part, that's the part in my hand. So I'm going to be marking the next two parts I wanted, the next two layers that I wanted to be. The other the way I marked it was the next one I ended up marking, I think it's 10. Yes, 10. So now this layer that we wanted, that is for the steps rather. It all depends on how clustered you want your steps to be, or how wide apart you want your steps to be. You just follow this method. Remember, it is still straight. So getting a full effect in your gown for the crinoline, you do not have to cut it flare method. It's still going to be straight. You do not have to cut it in a flare method. It's just this difference, the gappings that would show, like the one in the video. It's the difference is clear, so it's very obvious. It's not clustered. We have some that are usually clustered, that the difference in the crinoline is not much. They're clustered. It's just how you want it. I did mine 6, 10, and that's 15. 6, 10, and 15. So if you don't want it clustered, you can decide to do 15, 12, 10. So however you see a picture, some looks clustered, some doesn't look clustered, it is still the same straight sewing, straight cotton. It is just the crinoline it is just the difference in how clustered it is that matters. Now, just like bias, this is how to properly fix your crinoline. You place it directly on the net, just like the way you put bias. Now, you don't draw your crinoline. If you draw your crinoline, you will not have a good effect. So you place your cloth and you continue going with the way it is. You see the way I'm doing it, smoothly and gradually. The ½ inch, you maintain your ½ inch. The truth of the matter is that crinoline stretches, crinoline draws. So if you overstretch it while sewing, you draw it, when you are making it or when you are done, you won't have a nice effect. So these are some things that you should avoid. Just do it your bias way, and then you'll be sewing it gradually, you'll be sewing it small, and you'll be maintaining your inches. It's half inch, you maintain it as you can see. Remember, your waist times 10 divided by 36, which is an inch, is what was used. Your waist times 10 divided by 36. So depends on the measurements of this client, of the clients we are working with. Once you do that, you've calculated the yardage, calculated the yardage, and then the layers you want it to be. So the yardage and the layers will then determine if you'll be using 5 or you'll be sticking with 10 yards or 11 yards. Remember, the more the yardage is, the more bulkier the cloth will also come out, the more the layers is rather. But this is a crinoline part anyway. In the next video that we'll be showing, the second video that we'll be showing, we will understand more when we look at the layers. So after sewing the crinoline, like I said, it's just like a bias way. All you just have to do is to flip it. Can you see? You flip it. Note, you are not going to try to make sure the crinoline and the nets are bearing the same parts. You make sure it is directly the way it is. There will be the sewing allowance, the sewing that you use to join it will show, and that is why you should maintain that half an inch, because here you maintain the half an inch while sewing straight, everything will be straight and neat. So while sewing the crinoline, you also have to be careful. If you notice, I'm matching the tips, matching the tip, I'm sewing it on the tip. Then you maintain a straight sewing. You maintain a straight sewing so that the effect will be very, very nice. So it's just how you'll be doing it for all the steps. Remember, I gave a distance for this crinoline. You can see it wasn't clustered. So the same process we use, same process you can use for a 10-year-old child, same process you can use for any kind of waist circumference. You maintain the same process and you achieve a very nice result. You achieve a very nice effect. There's actually no hard and fast rule on how this is done. So as you can see from the video, from the way you are watching it, I'm trying to be careful. I'm not dragging it. I'm being careful, doing it small. So please take note of that. Take note of that. Do not drag your crinoline. Be careful because it draws, and once it's drawing, it will not give you a nice result. So I repeated the same process for every other thing. This first step, second step, and the third step. Now I want to gather just the first step to next, to the dollfish, rather, the same way we gathered every other part. I want to gather just the first step, then I'll gather the other two to it. You can do it this way, or you can gather the three. You can match the three all together and gather it together. There is really no difference in the effect. I just wanted to do it like that. So this is not a standby rule on how to do it. There's really no effect. I just wanted to do it like this. So when you are doing yours, you can just match the three down and then gather it at once. In fact, what some people do is they will just sew the steps step by step the way they want to. They will sew it directly, and then after sewing, they go ahead to turn the crinoline. So anyone that works for you, do it. So this same place that the machine is, our gathering, that is the waist, is the same place that the other two steps is going to be. Other two steps is going to be directly on top of this part. So this is what we want to work with. Remember, you notch the center so that they will be equal on both parts. That is on the left hand side, the right hand side, or the roundness of the flare rather. Remember, you notch it. So see how it looks like. This is me trying to see how it looks like. Can you see? So you just keep gathering, you keep checking, you keep gathering, you keep checking, you keep cross-checking, you keep gathering. That's just all that will be done, or all that we'll be doing. It's actually very easy and technical. It's technical, but once you've gotten the right techniques to it, you also realize that it is easy to. So this part has been gathered. The next is to gather the two sides. Can you see? Can you see the waviness? Can you see the outcome? Yes. So now I'm placing the two parts directly on it, these two sides. Same process too again, no difference. You will be notching the center, you'll be pinning it, then you'll be gathering it so that they will all be in total. They will all be in total, because precision is always important and precision is very vital. So I'm also going to start again the gathers. I'll be doing the gathers gradually. I'm sorry, I'm showing the video. This part looks lengthy. I'm showing the video so that we'll not get confused, mostly for the beginners that are in the class. You'll be gathering it. Now you'll be taking your time and you'll be gathering it. The same method you use to gather the layers is the same thing that you'll be doing. You'll be taking your time. It will not be easy because now it's already getting full, it's already bulky, and the waviness of the crinoline is also added. But you just be gathering it little by little, little by little, little by little. You can see my crinoline is already giving me that effect. It's already giving me that effect. So like I said, I've said it more than once, I'll still keep saying it. When you see a wavy cloth, you don't have to bother about cutting it in freehand. Just let your pattern be flare, then the doll face then get a straight cut. Don't let the crinoline you want to get in the market be extremely soft. Then you gather, by you multiply by 10, you divide by 36 to know how many yards, and then you keep gathering it like this. And you definitely have this effect, whatever length you want to make for the client, whatever waist you want to use, whatever measurements you are giving. This same process applies to every other thing. So you can feel free to ask questions. The group is open for questions. So we continue the gathering like this. I think I'm almost done gathering it to the waist. I'm almost done. So this is how it's going to be. To take your time. It will drain you a little bit, but then it will be worth it at the end. So just normal gathers, just normal gathers. Yo, voila, it was worth it. So this is it. This is it. So whether you want yours to be clustered, to have spacings like this, or to be clustered, it's just the same process that you would maintain, just the same process, and we are good to go.